Hello everyone, welcome to Google Form Tutorials. In this video we are going to look at the general settings that we can change or we can manipulate in the case of Google Forms. So this settings tab is the third tab in the forms that we have full control over. Let's see what all settings we can control. The first thing that we can control is make this a quiz. So what happens basically is, let's say you have created a Google form for the sole purpose of creating an online test. So what you want is you want to grade the students on the basis of their responses, and that becomes very easy through this Google Forms because it allows you a way through which you can assign points to every question, mark the correct answers, and Google will automatically evaluate those answers. So basically, if the person has entered a wrong option, they will automatically mark it as wrong. If they have entered a correct answer, it will automatically mark it as correct and would give you the results. So this option, make this a quiz, will give you all this freedom. Let's just click it on. Now what happens is there are the bunch of options that you can customize. The first is when you want to release the grades. So as soon as the students have submitted the form, you may want to release the grades to them, which is very much possible in the case of a multiple choice question. Based upon their responses, you can just select or check that they have entered how many correct options, how many incorrect options, and release the grade. Or what you can do is you can release the grades later after you have manually reviewed them. This is very much possible in the cases where you want your students to enter some kind of a textual based answers, like short answer type questions or long answer type questions, something like that. So if you want to keep the responses for manual review, then you can just select this option. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go with an immediate after each submission response. Now in the case of respondent settings, what are the options that we have? So missed questions or the questions which they have answered incorrectly, do you want them to see that? If you enable this option, then if someone has submitted their paper, they can see which answers they have submitted incorrectly and they can tell their friends. So maybe let's just turn this off. If you want them to see that which answers they have correctly given, which were the correct answers, then also the same case occurs, they can tell their friends, and maybe the grades can be manipulated. So let's just turn this off as well. If you want the respondents to tell or respondents to see that how many points, how many marks they have got for each question, then this point values can be toggled on. Otherwise we can just turn it off. So there is no harm in that. Let's just toggle it to on. Now what is the value for every question? Let's say we have 10 questions and the total that we are going to get on the grade is 100. So every question is going to have a 10 points. Let's just enter 10 over here. Okay, so this is how you can make sure that this quiz is selected, that these options are given to them in the form of a quiz. But if you want for a later on a manual review, the second option you can select. All these options again you can select even after a manual review, and providing them with the answers or with the grades afterwards. You might want them to see the correct answers or the wrong answers. So in this case we can just turn all these three options on, select the points that they have scored, or maybe assign the points to the question. Next is the responses, that is we can manage how the responses are collected and protected. So do you want to collect the email address of all the people who have actually answered your questions? It is actually required in the case of releasing the grades manually, because even if you don't have their email addresses, you cannot release their grades manually. Okay, so if I just try to turn it off, so what happens is automatically the release grades changes to immediately. Okay, so this we can just toggle on and off on our will, and in the case of this option, it's mandatory. If you want the responders to get a copy of their responses, we can just select always. Do you want them to edit their responses? No, I don't want. That is why it's toggled off. And how many times they can actually respond. So limit to one response, do you want them? So yeah, I want to limit to one response in the case of a test. This is a very good option, required option. Let's just limit it to one response. So that's it for the settings part. Actually, there are some things that needs to be covered, which we will be covering in the next video. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching.